Halo, Assalamualaikum. Okay, kita dah ada attendees, I think 6 live. Okay, insyaAllah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Saya ucapkan kepada semua lah, terutama kepada our brother Amar for spending his time with us today. So, we are honoured lah to have you with us. So, sharing-sharing ni, apparently our audience ni come from Malaysia, Australia dan juga US khabarnya. So, audience kita merata dunia lah untuk dengar Amar punya presentation ni, insyaAllah. So, first and foremost, kita nak buat sedikit introduction lah untuk saudara Amar. So, saudara Amar yang bersama kita hari ini merupakan penolong Setiausaha Agung GEMA Pusat tahun 2019 hingga ke 2021. So, sesi 2019 hingga 2021. So, he started off bersama GEMA Backpackers, which is now called GEMA Horizon, Amar?
Betul.
Since 2015. So, close to maybe hampirlah 6 tahun ataupun almost more than half a decade lah bersama dengan GEMA. Pertubuhan belia yang sudah mendapat penarafan 5 bintang daripada KBS. So, satu pencapaian ataupun highlight lah yang menarik lah untuk kita sama-sama cuba teladani. And he is actually appointed as the director for GEMA National Assembly 2020 for this year, which estimated orang yang datang tu 100 participants, Emma, from cawangan daripada pelbagai negeri lah.
Betul.
He used to work as a civil engineer with PIM in 2016, but now he's ventured out into dunia keusahawanan lah. He's got online cake business dan juga kerja-kerja lain, and spends most of his time with GEMA lah, menjadi social activist yang almost full timer, Emma.
Betul.
Macam tu lah. And I guess today our brother Amar will talk about a very important topic regarding governance ataupun good governance sebenarnya kan. Tata kelola yang baik untuk organisasi khususnya untuk organisasi belia. Satu topik yang biasanya kita overlook when we talk about administrating ataupun mengelolakan pertubuhan belia kan. Dan sama-sama mungkin banyaklah pointers yang kita boleh belajar daripada saudara Amar. Maybe we'll start off with a bit of a preamble ataupun sedikit pengenalan kepada topik ni, yang saudara Amar sudah prepare slides untuk sama-sama kita go through together, and then there will be a bit of question and answer lah after that lah, yang saya akan cuba moderatekan. InsyaAllah kalau tak ada kalau saudara Amar sudah bersedia, kita boleh mulakan lah the slides. Tafadhal dijemput.
Okey, insyaAllah. Sekejap ya. Okey. Alright. Okey, boleh nampak Hello. Assalamualaikum. Boleh dengar?
Sorry, boleh dengar.
Okey. So, kita ada 13 orang. Boleh start dah ya?
Okay, boleh.
Alright, so Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and a very good day to everyone, to the audience. Not sure whether dekat US sekarang waktu pukul berapa ataupun dekat merata tempat lah di dunia kan. So a good day to everyone. My name is Ahmad Masuri and I will talk about the good governance for today. And the first thing I want to say is that sorry, I need to use both language between English and also Bahasa Melayu lah, because my English is not that good, but I try to converse more in English as much as possible, inshallah. So if you have an input or you have a different opinions or you have an questions, please feel free to voice it out by the end of the talk later. So good governance. The first thing is that what is governance? So to go into this, can we have a little bit of an activity, a simple activity? I want to ask the audience. Sorry, how many do we have here? Okay. Can we have a simple activity? I want to ask the audience about what, in their own opinion, what is their perspective of what is governance? I want to know what is inside their mind. So can you please go to menti.com? Can you open your smartphone, or if you're listening on laptop, go to the next browser, the next tab, to go to the menti.com and insert these numbers 936800. And it will be like this. Go to menti.com and use the code 936800. And can you please describe what is governance in 3 words, in your own opinion and your own perspective? Okay, let's take about like 2 to 3 minutes to give a space for everyone to share their opinion on what is governance. Okay, we have some words coming. System, tata kelola. Tata kelola is actually governance on the system. The translation and the policy. Okay, anyone else? Hope everyone can join. And also, if you have more in your mind, you can give more than three words. You can give more input. Hala tuju, direction, effectiveness, managing people, undang-undang, okay, ethical, okay, they're starting to get, they're starting to fill in. Admin, policy, ethical, system, curricular, paperwork, management, kertas kerja, accountability, participatory, rasmi, duit. Oh, nice. Duit, money, guidelines, pemantauan. Okay, what else? Integrity, sustainability, pengurusan, undang-undang. Okay. What else? Proposals, which is the kata kerja lah. Admin, ethical. Okay. Managing people, pemantauan, kertas kerja. There's no right or wrong answer in this, because governance is actually a quite broad topic to be discussed. There's a lot, like there's different sectors like corporate governance, financial governance, industrial governance, and today we are focusing on the project governance, or in other words, it's an organization governance. So yeah, the audience can see. And can you guys see the screen? My screen, which is what are the audience opinion as perspective of what is governance. Okay, it's good to know that this is the opinion of the audience, and from what I will explain later, should be not tak lari banyak lah daripada apa yang dah kita share tadi. So let me explain to you about the governance itself. So what is actually a governance? So if we want to know what is governance, let's try. Sometimes the words can be described through what is really the meaning of the words. The roots of the words itself is actually, it comes from the ancient Greek word called kubernator. I'm not sure whether I speak the right pronunciation or not, but the one I heard is kubernator, which means the ship steersman. That is what the governance comes from. So the ship steersman actually have three main roles that need to be fulfilled in order to fulfill the responsibility. Have three roles. So the first one is to set up the directions, strategic directions. If we reflect back to the organization, will be the end goal, or the vision, or the mission, the goals, by setting up through the very beginning, or being revisited in between. So by setting directions of the ship steersman, I can say that ship steersman is also a captain of the boat, which is to set the direction, the destination of where the boat will go to, and the strategy to do that. Like for example, you need to go to this path or that path, the dangers, the closest, or whatever. Need to be set to the set of the direction. And the second rule is to make decisions. Whether the decision of the captain, they need to know whether they need when to stop, or when to when there's a bad weather, whether they need to proceed or not. So all of that need to have a decision, and decision comes when they have a proper information. With the right information, they can make a better decision. And the last rule of a ship steersman is oversight. Oversight as in oversee everything inside the boat. They need to know everything, like for example, the crew, are they healthy enough, or they are sick? And how about the food supply of the ships? So they need to see everything internally, so that they can steer the ship to the direction that they want and making the decisions. So these three are the main rule of what makes the governance. So I will explain one by one later, and I will start with the set direction first. By setting the direction, I mean strategic direction, but first we need to ask the big why. So the question that needs to be answered is, why your organization established? Why is it there? Why the organization wujud macam tu? And then the next question is, why you are there? Why you are inside the organization? This must be a reason why you join. Maybe you have your own agenda, or maybe you have a line with what you want to give, the values or whatever. So this is the answer that needs to be reflect on. So the next is why you accept your current position in your organization. So by answering this why, by finding the reasons, then we can try to set up the directions, the strategic directions, because now we know the reason. We know the big why of why you are there. So there's a lot of questions. I picked these three questions that need to be answered and find the reason. And next, why the goal setting or setting the direction, strategic direction is important. The goal setting and the strategic planning is important because of various things. I can say about, like for example, untuk elak penat lah buat program kan, kita kena set very strategically the planning, so that when we do a program, dia tak repetitive ataupun asyik ulang-ulang benda yang sama. Every year we do the same program repeatedly and then not growing from there, dia akan cepat penat. And then some more kita nak give values to the community. So what is the value that we want to give? So everything needs to be planned. And also the distribution of the responsibility. Like if there are imbalance between the responsibility, that's where there are some people do more than other people, but then at the end of the day, they are have the same credit, which is they living in the same boat, So kita tak nak benda yang macam tu. Kita tak nak orang yang pegang role tu dia tidak jalankan tugas lah. So we need to have a very specific goal setting and also the strategy. But the main importance, I believe, in goal setting and strategy planning is actually the main thing is for sustainability of the organization. So some people, I noticed someone share about sustainability just now when I do the activity. When we do the activity, sustainability is what maintain the organization through years. How to sustain the organization is through this goal setting and strategy. If you don't have a goal, where is your direction? So that's what I think of. Then how to set a direction and how to do a strategic planning. It takes many things. You can even find it in the internet. But for the simple task, the simple idea to make is to revisit your long-term goals and your objective. Revisit it back. The organization especially, you can revisit and you can try to break it down into a short-term, mid-term, also a long-term. Like a short-term, it can be like half a year or up to 1 year. Mid-term is like 2 to 3 years and long-term 5 up to 10 years. Break it down so that you can see it's achievable for a short term. And for a long term, it's a serious change of mid-term or short-term goals that we achieve to achieve that long term, the last or the end of the goals or the main objective, the vision of the organization. And the next idea, that's a very simple idea, is like to plan 1 year program. Some organization neglecting this. They just do without even plan of 1 year. I think about 1 year because 1 year is like most of the time they are AGM, annual grand meeting, mesyuarat agung tahunan. So we need to revise every year. So it can be a half a year or it can be quarterly. So it depends on you. Anyway, you need to plan. And the next is by setting up a 1 year KPI. KPI need to be set from the strategic planning. What you need to achieve, what the objective of that program. You do a program. What is actually the objective? Let's say you have one big objective for that particular year. For example, you want to recruit people. That's your objective. So that's a 1 year time frame that you can manage to achieve the objective, to get a recruitment. So from there, you can break it down into several KPI. Like for example, to achieve this, how much new people need to attend the program, and what program. So everything can be listed down and can be break it down into a smaller part so that we can easily achieve. And then we need to think back about the main reason. So instead of taking too large, you can narrow it down so that we can be more achievable for practice, I can say. So for a start. Okay, that's for the direction of by setting up the goals. Next, I want to share about the making better decisions. When we think about the decision, before we make a decision, we need to know something. We need to have an information, a set of information, in order to make a decision. Because we cannot make a decision without knowing things. So actually, the flow of information is one of the key to a good governance, because good governance comes, one of it is from a better decision. So the flow of information is very important, because if it's less information, it may lead to a bad decision. And then if it's too much information, you may lose focus on what is really important. So what we really need is actually a moderate and accurate set of information, the right information at the right time and the right people. So that's the information that we need. So in order to have that flow of information, I believe there are three main factors, the main three importance of information that need to be catered, which is the first one is the transparency. The information needs to be transparent. Everyone in the members of the organization should have access to that particular information. For example, perlembagaan, constitution. Can you access the constitution? Do you know where is your constitution? If you have a new recruitment, new people coming in, can they know where the can they access the the perlembagaan though? So you need to be as transparent as possible in order to make a decision. Decision can be made from the very top tiers of the organization, like the president, up to the new recruitment, the new recruited people, and everyone needs to make a decision. So through that decision, they need that information. So by transparent, everyone can have the access. So the next thing is that if everyone have an access, they need to make it easy to access. Like for example, if you need what if you need a certain platform, like for example, the one of the best that I'm really using it is like the Google Drive. It's easy to access, and it's in a cloud storage. So it can be transparent and it's easy to access. And the next is systemized information. Why is systemized is important? Because let's think ahead. Like for example, if you are 5 years later, 5 years in the future, can you access what are you doing now? Okay, let's do the other way around. Let's say you want to have a piece of information 5 years back, from the back. Can you access it? Is it easy to find? If the information is being stored systematically, and the finding of that piece of information is not that hard. I mean, it can be controlled, it can be managed. So this is what I think about the information. It needs to be transparent, it needs to be easy to access, and it needs to be systematic. Okay, next I want to talk about the constitution. The governance cannot, dia tak boleh lari daripada perlembagaan. Because why perlembagaan is penting? When we think about perlembagaan, individually, I say in the scope of individual, there are two things, which is the integrity and the accountability. Integrity is like of that specific individual. Integrity, from what I find, is actually a self-leadership. You need to lead your own self, and then integrity is also keeping promises from the agreement that you make. So if you start to break a promises, your own integrity will be questioned. So integrity is all about a self-leadership and keeping promises. And the thing is, when life comes in a way, you may lose you may forget your promises. So this is where the integrity play the role, where you need to keep the promise. Okay, I think I keep repeating the same words, but the thing is, integrity can breed integrity. What I mean is that if someone have a very strong integrity, it can influence the next person who's close to him, to that person. So integrity can breed integrity. So be the influencer, be the good example for integrity. So what is accountability? I believe that everyone is accountable for what they do, especially in an organization. Bila pegang jawatan, kita akan ditanya, kita akan di accountable for whatever we do. Especially the one holding the position, the highest position, especially the president or the YDP or pengerusi. Whenever they make a bad decision or bad things that happens inside the organization, they mainly macam tindakan undang-undang. So they are very strict. So everyone is accountable. So they need to be as responsible as possible, and especially for Muslim, will be accounted for during the judgment day. Um, so the constitution is there for us to follow. We can challenge the constitution, we can revise the dasa and everything, but that need to be in a very proper space of, like, for example, the assembly, the national assembly, where we need to discuss, like dalam parliament kita discusskan dasa. But the thing is, when dasa is there and it will be if carved, so we need to follow the rules of the constitution. So the bright side about the constitution is that it protects the organization. The constitution, if you follow the rules of the constitution, it protects the organization from the corruption, from the illegal activities, from the misconduct, especially from the certain individuals, when they have their own agenda. And if that particular organization are not aware of the constitution, that particular person can, bring his or her own agenda and change the organization like 360. So it is very important for the person inside the organization to know the constitution, at least know where to refer to. Like, there are perlembagaan and you know where to refer that perlembagaan, you know where it's placed. And you know that you need to pass it down to the other generation so that they know where they can get this constitution. Constitution is not like you need to be memorize everything. Perlembagaan kalau kita nak memorize agak payahlah, unless kita maybe a lawyer or in a law firm, I don't know. But then constitution is there to be referred. It's like, for example, dictionary, kamus. Kamus ni jarang ada orang hafal satu kamus, satu buku tebal tu. So kamus is there to be referred. Same things goes to the constitution. It needs to be referred. So it is important that you know where the constitution that you can be referred. Yeah, I guess that concludes my preamble, which is what I find through my readings and through my research. But let me share with you about my own experience from the previous involvement in organizations. Okay. Have I talked about myself? I'm not sure. So let's talk about myself. The close people that knowing me is actually knowing me. I'm actually a very introvert person. I have a very high fear of rejection. I have a stage fright. It's so worse that I couldn't even raise hand to ask a question previously. So I am that introvert. If you know, in Japanese they call it otaku or nerd or something like that. So I like to shut inside the room. Everything is previously, and something has happened now. So this introvert, however, can be trained. Actually, introvert is not a bad thing. It's that you tend to move to be focused, but you need to have a balance in life. You need to have an extrovert to balancing it. So when I joined GEMA, it's actually give me an opportunity to grow. So that's why I take the challenge to be the speaker for today. Actually, I don't really the type of guy to present to everyone, but since no one here, actually I'm inside the room and no one here accept me, so I feel like I'm talking to a screen, which is, I think, okay. But the thing is, I'm not that kind of person to speak in a crowd. But I try to take the challenge. So pardon me if I have a started, because I do feel nervous now actually. So okay, let's talk about my own experience inside the organization. My own opinion, as a key aspect to a good governance, I can say that two of the things that I accounted for, which is the first point is demystify or make difficult things easier. We need to make other people easy to do things that we need to if you want to make things. So I will explain further about this MIS5. And the next point is that oversight. Oversight as in just now about the books. We need to see everything. So we need to relax and see the bigger view, the bigger picture of that organization. Through that, then we know that are we in the right direction or not. So let's focus on the MIS5. This is from my own opinion, okay? I hope I not offend anybody because this is my through my own personal experience. So my experience is I joined organization, outdoor organization. If you know outdoor organization, they outdoor people are not really keen in papers or writing stuff, documentation. They are not so keen about that because I'm one of them. Okay, uh, we start with a problem. So the organization president resigned. The president is holding the position for 4 years, and that president resigned for a very short notice, and it is too sudden and left the group immediately. Actually, after that, we know lah his situation is quite severe. I understand why he quits after that. But the thing is, at that particular moment, we are stuck to get the new generation ready, because actually the thing happens is that before the president resigns, there are many problems that occur actually, and we actually repeating the program, and it seems like we are not actually moving forward. We just keep on the loop. So then I realized there are information transfer problems. There are missing pieces somewhere, which is information. Because if you want to go for the next generation, you need to have a knowledge transfer or information transfer need to be done properly. So that what leads to documentation. So everything is leads to documentation, and documentation is quite many documentation that can be tackled. So at that particular time, I think about one. I tried to tackle one by one. So at that time, I tried to think about the program reports. What happens there in the organization, and it actually happened to me also, which is the program report is actually quite tedious to do. After you do a program, like for example, you baru balik dari gunung 7 hari kan, gunung 7 hari, nak penat lagi kita, macam masih lagi setengah badan, nak ambil masa untuk recovery about 2-3 days. So to do a program report at that kind of condition is so tedious. It's that effort to start opening a laptop or a computer and sit down and do the report. So it's tedious, quite tedious, and it can lead to a delay or even never done it. So it's like delay, maybe like not even one way, maybe like 2-3 months. So it takes time to refresh back, and maybe there's a missing information. And the other thing about the information previously is that no standard file naming templates. They are not structured. There are no file naming. So if there hasn't have a systematic kind of a storage, so it's not easy to find it. Where it's difficult to find a source. If after I finish the report, the report that I do is actually stored inside my laptop. It's not being open to everyone. So there's no transparency there. So it's not stored systematically. So it's difficult to find it. If I want to find the report that I do, like I don't know, for 5 years back, I may not find it because I don't know where it's stored. So this is the problem. And the thing about problem is that I think we need a system. At that time, I think we need a system. So, okay, if you know Bill Gates, let me bring you to a famous quote of a Bill Gates that says, I choose a lazy person to do a hard job because a lazy person will find an easy way to do it. The thing is, saya antara orang yang malas lah. Saya agak malas actually. So, bila orang yang malas ni, dia nak buat kerja, dia akan think of apa yang mudah untuk dia. Kadang-kadang macam tu lah, kadang-kadang dia akan fikir apa yang mudah untuk dia. So, when I think about reports, which is quite tedious, I can say that it is a hard job. So, how to find an easy way to do it? So, by the time, okay, actually after the president resigned, there's a new president coming up, which is my good friend, and then me, I volunteered to be the documentation documentation department, which is no documentation department previously. I asking the new president to build one unit just for me to fill in, which is the documentation that I want to tackle. So orang malas ni nak buat documentation macam mana kan? Nak bagi orang lain rasa senang. So I think about how to make a proper, easier, faster and standardized auto-sync to cloud storage automatically and auto-generated report just by using a smartphone. What I think about smartphone is that smartphone is easy to it is easy because we have our smartphone every time. It is within our reach, and most of the time they are the internet connection. So whenever you do a report inside a smartphone, it can be stored to the cloud storage, like auto sync it to everyone. Once you click the submit button, everyone can access. So that's where the transparency is. So how can one do a proper standardized auto-generated report using a smartphone? So I do some research and I find that Google Form can actually do it. There's a certain there's one add-on called the Form Publisher. That can generate from the Google Form to a very proper report. So the thing is, I create a Google Form and plug in the Form Publisher, and I try to fill in all the information of that particular program. So what happens is that it generates the report nicely. As you can see here on the screen, the report that we generated, all the tables here are the template, and it auto-generated just by filling up the forms. So it is easy to do. I think it is easy. And you can see from the results, it's actually. So the result is that there are total 14 programs throughout the years 2019, and all of the 14 programs have a proper reports, have their own folders, have their be stored in a G Drive, Google Drive, that can be accessed to anyone. So all reports are easily accessed by all the members. And then every information is being standardized. Their SOPs are starting to develop every time, because when you have a proper documentation, you will see the other things that is important also, which is the SOPs. And so lot of SOPs, like how to, for example, if you are outdoor, how to start a program, how to make a proposal, how to write a report, how to manage the program. The program like hiking, how to do the hiking program, the SOPs for hiking. And then there's also the SOPs for wall climbing and for kayaking, for diving. So there are many SOPs are starting to develop. And then the rare thing is that an outdoor group except in documentation, that is very rare. To me, that's quite an accomplishment. So, okay, I think I'm done there. So let's move to another real life example. There's one previously before I became a penolong setiausaha agung in GEMA Pusat. So izinkan saya untuk share another example. Real life, which is the minute of meeting. That's what happened to me. So when I accept the position to be inside the GEMA Pusat. GEMA Pusat is actually the you can say the director, board of directors for GEMA. So I need to hold a position, and I find it the easier position is actually penolong setiausaha agung. I think it's easier because it's less responsibility by that side. The thing is about setiausaha, you need to handle the meeting. It's like you need to book the meeting, you need to set the date based from the president instruction. And the thing is, you need to do a minute. So I never done a minute previously. Before I entered GEMA Pusat, I never did a minute. Okay, I entered the GEMA Pusat, it's actually August last year. So it's not even 1 year yet. I become a setiausaha. So the first, at the beginning, it's quite challenging for me. It's like, it's a new challenge, and there's a lot of learning curve. There's a lot of try and error, you know. So what I did previously with the minute meetings, I break it down into during and after. So during meeting, I write the minutes in a paper, and it's actually not only me. There's people around me also writing in a paper. There's nothing wrong about writing a paper, but let me share the scenario that I faced. Okay. So what happened after the meeting is that after I write in a paper, after the meeting, I type in a laptop. I need to find a time for me to properly sit in the table or sit on the floor and anywhere, and open the laptop and typing it. After I've done, I save it in the laptop, which is not online. It is offline. After that, whenever people want that minute, the minute need to be shared. So it's actually not that there's no transparency where maybe there is a transparency, but they need to ask permission from a particular person to accept that minute. Actually, minute can be accepted to anyone, but if the minute is being kept to that particular person itself, so they need to have kena minta izin dulu lah, macam nak kena minta nak minit baru boleh bagi, like share the link ataupun email kan ke. And then next thing is that no standard file naming. Bila tak ada file naming, like I mentioned previously, dia susah nak cari. So everything need to be done after the meeting. So it's what happens that there can be a delay in doing the minutes. Maybe like up to sampai lah nak meeting another meeting next day nya, baru nak buat minute from the previous meeting that 1 month ago. So macam delay tu kadang-kadang berlaku. And then you are less productive because you are doing 2 to 3 jobs. It actually can be compared to 1 job only, and then it may lead to a tiredness, tersenang penat. And then some more kalau kita nak buat selepas meeting, way after that, there may be information loss and not accurate anymore. And some more, it is difficult to find the source if the standard naming is not proper. So after time, I try to find a productive way to do the minutes. So why not? If I type in a laptop straight away during the meeting from a template, save and link to a Windows shared folder cloud storage, which can be auto sync with a standard naming. Everything is happened during the meeting, especially before the meeting also. During meeting, I just get the template and typing it. And after the meeting, actually I can save and done. It's actually happening. So in order during the meeting to type in a laptop, it's actually you need to establish a set of the system one time. It can be a one time or you can revisit later. But the thing is, you need to start the Windows shared folder. So Google Drive is very convenient because you can straight away go to your Windows, or you have a Mac. Can be shared to the folder of that particular laptop. And then you need to set a standard file naming for that minute. And then you need to set a template of that minute. So everyone can have the same standard, not like this minute different standard, this minute different standard, different way of doing. So we need to set a one standardized standard, and then you need also to set a standard folder structure. So there's it is different from the file naming. File naming is actually the file name. Structure folder is it's like a shelf. You know, when you have a bookshelf, they got a like upper shelf, lower shelf. So the file naming is that uh, the book title. What is the book title? So you are not putting everything inside a one folder. Like for example, all of the files macam documentation, gambar ke apa semua dalam satu folder, dalam satu shelf, dalam satu rak buku. Kita tak letak filing kita tak letak Al-Quran, dan juga kita tak letak macam kalau kita pergi kedai buku kan, semua genre diletakkan dalam satu satu whole big shelf. No, they are separate. So that's what a folder structure is. They are separating their files in a proper way, a very structured way. And the next is it needs to be auto sync. Then after we set everything, then we can start to take the template and start to type in the laptop during the meeting. So as a result, what I feel is that I can be more productive, and then the minute can be easily accessed. There's no more like Amar nak minute. I can just say, okay, open the G drive and let's look at minute 107, let's say, for example. So everyone can access straight away. It's transparent, and it is systematic. It's easy to find and less hassle, because after the meeting, I don't really have to revisit, or I can revisit just to fine tune a bit. So the best thing is that it is transparent. So how about if I share to you the structure? Okay, this is the structure of the folder that I manage. Okay, can you see this? Okay, this is a window share folder, the Google Drive that being shared to the folder of your computer for your laptop. So this is the GEMA Pusat share folder. So this already been structured, so it can be revised and improved through time. So let me show you where is the minute. So go to the latest terms and go to the pejabat SUA, which is me, citizen, and also go to the particular folder, which is the minute meeting. So if you go here, you can see the file naming is structured enough. So the file naming is proper, like from A to from the first to the last, and have a proper coding numbers and also the proper definition of the main reason for that that minute. So everything here is being done straight away from the during the meeting. You can just get a template, get the copy and paste, and just review back the numbers, and then you can start doing the minute. And once you click save, it auto sync to the cloud, and you can actually access it. Every one of the members can access it instantly, so in real time. So the thing is, some people may find difficulties actually to type straight away to the laptops, because there are people are more comfortable with jotting down using their pens and pencil. To me, it's actually it needs to be it can be overcome through practice, because previously I'm not really typing in a computer type of person. I'm not written any blog before, so it takes a challenge, but it's actually possible to do. It just takes practice and practice. But however, you can find your own comfortable way. You just need to be as sustainable as possible, as productive as possible. So in the end, it's about solving a problem. So you have a problem, you try to find a way to solve it. Okay. So I think that's the what I want to share about Demystify, which is make things easier for other people, mostly in the documentation. So that's an example. So next is oversight, which is to see the bigger picture. I will explain about this. So the when we think about the oversight of governance, specifically in information and documentation, we need to see a bigger picture or proper documentation. Why? It's because we need to, the outcome is that the important that we can have a very good annual report. And some more, we can easily tracking the KPI, the key performance index. And annual reports actually can be very stressful, tedious, and tiring if the documentation storage is not systematic enough. Uh, Kena banyak cara lah, kena banyak masa untuk kita cari balik, gali balik mana mana program ni, mana program tu punya reports, mana minit ni. So if everything is there in a systematically stored, so it is easier, not easy. Yeah, it is a challenge, but it is easier in some way to make a report. And it can be leads to a good annual report, and then also the tracking of KPI. But the thing is, when you see a bigger picture of a proper documentation of a good governance, most importantly, good governance is for the next generation. It is in my opinion, which is the successor, the transfer of the knowledge, the proper information transfer. So successor is the one of my big why is actually why I do the documentation. That's what I think about the next generation. So when you think about the successor, a good governance the successor can start from where we left off, and they can continue to fly higher from where we are, rather than starting back from the baseline. So from a very proper documentation, if we see everything in a bigger picture and a review, as a result, GEMA is actually obtained, as mentioned from the MC just now, actually obtained a 5-star rating. And GEMA is actually among 7 of the youth organization of around, if I'm not mistaken, 1,000 youth organization in Malaysia. And GEMA is one of the 7 to get this recognition from KBS, Kementerian Belia dan Sukan. So this is the result from the good annual reports and also good governance. And we are 7 this 2020 we are 8 years already, and this is one of our latest program, which is the annual National Assembly, 8 years and still counting, and we are keeping to flying high. And this program is actually quite a memory for me, quite an impact for me, because introvert like me, it's actually I can direct this kind of program. So I'm the director of this program. So I'm very thankful for the opportunity that is given to me from the Pemuda GEMA, especially from all the members, because they give a continuous support. Even the slides I share you just now, we reviewed yesterday night, and they share their own opinion so that I can share it to you. They give their inputs and everything. So I'm very thankful with GEMA, and hope we can continue to fly high. So as for the conclusion, let me revise back from the first starting of the role of the ship salesman. The first thing is about to set the direction, the goals, the strategic goals, the strategic planning. And then we need to have a set of information, the right information, accurate information at the right place and the right time to make a better decision. And the last thing is to see things in a bigger view. And actually, in a good governance, no one size fits all approach or one size fits all model. You need to keep try and adapt with your current situation, because the situation in government might be difficult compared to your organization. So you need to keep adapt and keep on trying to find the approach. And then good governance can identify issues and solve it before it become a problem. So identify the issue first. So if it become a problem, don't be afraid to make it, to solve it. It's just that if you have a very good governance, you can identify the issue first. and then keep keep up with the fast improving technology. Take advantage of the latest technology and keep yourself updated and make use of it. Because technology is improving too fast that we need to keep updated. Okay. Then don't be afraid to make a mistake. Keep on improving and learn from it. Because if you learn from a mistake and you do learn from it and take responsibility of your own mistake, respect will come to you. And I already experienced it. I do make a lot of mistakes. And then you need to reflect and learn and improve yourself. So keep on improving. And the last but not least is actually enjoy the process. Remember why you joined the course. Remember why you joined your organization. Whatever the agenda, whatever the reason, whatever the cause is, make it memorable and cherish and enjoy the process. Enjoy everything and keep collect happy moments. And that's my son there. And that's all for me. Thank you very much for listening. I'm not really accessing to the chat box, so I try to find it now. Okay, Saudara Akmal, dah habis lah slide.
Yep. I'm here. Boleh dengar?
Boleh.
Okay, alright. Just checking because my video dia macam free sikit, so tak nampak. We'll try to address and try to collect these questions, and then kita try to go through them one by one. Tadi Amar dah terangkan kepada kita lah. I think he explained it quite succinctly why good governance is important and why it is actually the responsibility lah of the organisation itself to make sure that good governance is in place kan. Dalam pada itu ada sisi-sisi yang kita jarang keluarkan lah bila kita berorganisasi ni. Contohnya macam integrity, accountability, transparency, all those macam big words kan, macam values yang biasanya kita jarang kehadapan kan, sebab kita just go through the day to day process without actually going through those nilai lah. Just nak tanya saudara Amar, rasanya siapa sebenarnya ataupun siapa sepatutnya lah in charge of making sure ataupun in charge of ataupun assessing yang good governance ni is in place in the organisation. Is it the pengerusi, is it the board committee, apa dia punya jawatan kuasa pusat ke, ataupun it's the responsibility of everyone to make sure that it's in place. Kita tanya Amar lah, apa pendapat dia?
Okay. Before we continue further, saya tengah nak try tengok a few sets of questions, and I think I need to see first before I answer that. Can we go to see a certain a video about GEMA, and then during the video I can see the question first.
Okay.
Okay, so the video.
Very very nice video lah. Rasa macam nak join GEMA.
Yeah, come and join us. So,
Bila kita
tapi
balik
kita
ni.
tak ada cawangan lagi lah kat Australia. Kena masuk Malaysia baru. Kena balik Malaysia.
Sabah Sarawak
Okay,
pun tak ada lagi ke?
Sabah Sarawak, insyaAllah coming. Not sure
Coming.
when, tapi insyaAllah coming, I think. So,
Okay.
okay, ada set of question, but I think I try to answer from Saudara Kumal question just now about who responsible for the good governance, kan? Oh, okay. It's actually the responsibility for good governance come from all the members, especially. It's actually the responsibility of everyone inside the organization. It's not limited to the leader, the president. It's not limited to the board of the members. It's actually everyone's responsibility. It's like what I did previously, where I stepping forward to make to ask for permission to create one another unit to tackle the documentation issues. So actually, it's everyone and each individual responsibility to do it to practice a good governance, but especially need to tackle from the top position because they are in top for a reason. So responsibility yang sepatutnya pada semua orang, tapi lebih berat pada orang yang paling atas dan among the group, the board members. But when I mention about accountability, they are being accountable for, semuanya dalam, kalau ada perlembagaan, they will be questioned if they have a issue with the governance. So boleh dia kenakan undang-undang sekiranya macam tak hantar laporan annual kepada pendaftar contohnya, like 2 tahun turut-turut. It can lead to a tindakan undang-undang. So you need to be accountable for the top position. But again, the governance responsibility for all the members. So, so next question, can I scroll through?
So mungkin salah satu question saya kat situ is who's actually in charge of drafting the constitution. I think soalan ni bertanyakan is it the orang top committee ke yang in charge of it, or actually it's drafted together?
Oh, okay. So, as actually constitution ni, soalan daripada Kak Alia. Who
Alia.
writes the constitution? AJK tertinggi ke? Ahli semasa? Semua masih AJM. Okay. Actually, constitution ni, if you are registered to a particular body, like for example, GEMA, they registered to Kementerian, Kementerian Berkesan, bawahnya ada Registrar of Youth. Similar to ROS, so they have their example of a constitution that you can refer to, and you can take it, copy, and revise it according to your needs. So actually, the one who writes the constitution is come from the example from that particular body. You can actually the simple way is that you can just go Google the constitution, the first template of the constitution, and then the first committee, the founder, the one who set up the organization, will do the setting up of the constitution. Yang akan buat, yang akan write everything at that place, so that constitution to fix the organization. So it comes from the first person, the first members, and then through times, the constitution can be revised from the AGM, from the annual grand meeting. So that's what the constitution are based on. So through that you can refer the constitution. So I hope I answered the question. And next is, does every organization needs a constitution, even a small club from your fund? It depends. If you if you are registered to a body, you need to have a constitution. But if you are not registered, like you are small club,
Club chess contohnya.
Club chess. If you are registered, then you need you need a perlembagaan lah. Kalau registered. But then the question is, what if you're not? Even if it's small, what if you are not registered? Actually, it's good to have a rules. House rules. You have a house rules, like for example, after makan kita basuh pinggan, betul tak? So So kalau kita langgar benda tu, dia akan create a problem lah. Kita mungkin ada dalam risiko kan. So it's good to have even a very simple simple perlembagaan sets of rules inside a small club if you're not registered. So it doesn't necessary for a small club, but it's good to have one. And if you are registered, you need to comply with that lah. Kena ada lah kalau you are registered. So I hope I can answer the question. Answer the question. So the next is, can you recommend some books, readings on good governance? Actually, my source is mostly from YouTube. A very specific source, which is the TED Talk. If you have you heard about TED Talks? To speak in a TED Talk, you need to have a certain credibility to know in talk. So yeah. So my source is actually come from YouTube and come from a search through the Googles, especially from a website that is credible enough. Like for example, a very big name, the magazine. And if I really want to recommend a book, I'm sorry, I cannot find a book about good governance, because what I do is actually I learn from an experience. So, like I said one just now, there's no one fit all approach. There's no one fit all models. So you just need to keep on trying. So I think we can find the good books in the internet. I'm very sorry. I really cannot answer this question perfectly, but I hope you get some idea.
So, Amar, just mungkin responding to that question from an Australian context lah.
Okay.
For us here, I think the local governments, maksudnya state government, they've actually got macam guidelines for business and communities over here, and also they actually buat training lah for good governance and all that. There's actually, I think, a good governance institute in Australia yang buat online training, also in-house training lah for non-profits and also charities. So there's plenty kalau nak Google, just untuk answer that question from an Australian context. Malaysia, I'm not sure juga, mungkin Amar lebih tahu. ROS tak ada training for good governance, belum ada lagi, ataupun sorry, ROY Register of Youth.
Actually ada, orang ada buat berkala dekat dia orang buat jenis berkelompok lah, from utara punya negeri, selatan,
Zone.
timur, tengah, by zone, yes.
Okay.
So they do libat urus khusus. They give for free actually for the one who registered to them. So it can be accessed, but you need to monitor closely lah dengan orang. Then need to keep on updated. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, we approached ROY, Registrar of Youth, to give a talk about the opportunity from outside, especially from the outside student that are studying abroad. When they come to Malaysia, what is the opportunity that can be given from the ROI? So ROI not only about registrar of youth, and not only about registering an organization, it's also about the empowerment of the youth. They even have a set of a program that they do, like for example, naik kapal untuk orang yang betul-betul capable untuk naik satu set of kapal dan dia pergi merantau ke negara orang, seperti contoh Jepun. So during that kapal, dalam tempoh beberapa hari tu, dia orang akan diajar macam mana untuk through leadership, through many things that can empower them, especially for the belia lah, what belia need to be empowered for. So that one of the program that they do, apart from the governance, the libat urus khusus semua tu. So it's actually available, and hopefully we can bring the ROI to this webinar talk later in a future date. I'm not sure when. So yeah.
Tapi menarik lah Amar punya own learning tu is through macam study sendiri lah kan, untuk dapat ilmu tu. Dia punya
Mostly, yeah, mostly I learned the hard way lah.
inisiatif tu, itulah learn the hard way. InsyaAllah bermanfaat lah ilmu yang dia dikongsi hari ni, learn through pathway yang susah lah.
Tak adalah
InsyaAllah.
susah sangat kot. Okay.
Okay, so sambung kepada soalan Kak Alia kat sini. Dia kata, how do we get people to submit reports? Maybe ada orang rasa program kecil je, perlu ke report. And also the second question, I guess the third question from Kak Alia juga, did you do retrospective paperwork? Because bila documentation tu ada before and after SOP tu in place kan, revamp. So apa jadi dengan dokumen-dokumen lama tu, ataupun you just start fresh? Mungkin kita tanya saudara Amar berkenaan dengan soalan ni.
Okay, so how do we get people to submit the report? And that's the problem, the one in the slide. The problem comes how to make people do the report. The situation is that by that time, the organization that I joined, we have hello? Okay. So we have it's actually we are quite active actually. Almost every week we got a program. Previously, I mean like 2018 and before. So the thing is, by the end of the year, the report program that we can access to is limited to like the five fingers. You know, it can be accounted for. Not everything is being reported. Not even the small one. So, no, I mean, not even the big one. So, apatah lagi kalau yang small, kecil-kecil. So the thing is, we need to see back why we need to submit the report. The report is actually is there to be referred, to be sit back. So kalau program tu kecil sekalipun, it's very good to do the report because if later in the future we need to review or we need to have a certain reference, we can sit back at that report. So macam even the kecil pun, essentially to me, it is important to write it. So how to get people to write is actually the question is how to make people easy to write it. So that's why I create the system, which is using the phone, they can submit the reports. And that's actually the result that I do is that all of the 14 programs during that year have all the reports. So everyone have submitted the reports. So I believe I achieved I solved the problem now. Actually, it's not me. There are people around me also that are helping the usaha ni lah. So I can say that we're solving it, and then we're still improving on how to solve it efficiently. So for the documentation to revamp the documentation unit, yes, because sometimes the documentation is not, you know, it's not how to say everything is there. Not everything is there. For example, the particular effort that I do for people to do the reports from the phone is actually to have a base report. At least they have a base report of all the important things have been stored there, and then later you can review it back, and then you can put you can have an input, like for example the conclusion, the feedbacks from the audience peserta kan. So you can always see back the documentation. You can always revamp it, and if you talk about you start from fresh, it's actually if you have a proper documentation, if you have a proper systematic storage of folder structure, you don't really have to start from fresh. You can have things to refer to. You can create a template, and even a template, it can be revisit or revised maybe once a year or twice a year. I mean, 2 years once. It can be always revised to accommodate the current situation. If you change the unit, if you change the email and everything, so it can always change. So there's no right or wrong. You just need to make it easy for people to do, and so that they don't have to start from fresh, because if they save their time by doing it at a some place, not from fresh, I mean from some some place lah. So they can have more time to do many things, many other things, like they can think of how to improve the organization. So we need to minimize that kind of delay, so that we can be as more productive as possible. So try not to make the start fresh situation. So mungkin jawapan ni dah tak berapa nak tepat sangat, tapi hopefully get the idea lah.
It's a constant battle kan. It's always apa, we have to do the right thing kan, rather than apa, expecting everything to be right all the time. I think itu yang cuba Amar terangkan lah sebenarnya. It's actually putting in place the practice yang betul tu.
Betul. It is a continuous effort, because even in technology yang Mama cakap tadi tu, it continuously, we need to improve continuously, keep on improving.
Efficiency.
So,
yeah.
Yes, efficient. Yes, efficient as possible.
Sehubungan dengan itu, mungkin soalan seterusnya berkait juga dengan teknologi. Dia kata, boleh Amar repeat tak the name of the tools and technologies yang digunakan? Tadi macam sebut Windows, Share something.
Chat folder.
Okay.
I think saya rasa banyak orang dah tahu sebenarnya tentang Windows chat folder, tapi ada juga yang masih lagi unfamiliar. So Windows chat folder is actually a Google Drive yang boleh di-sharekan ke dalam apa nama ni, ke dalam laptop. Like for example, boleh tengok dekat screen. Okay, ini adalah Windows chat folder. Okay, so instead of buka browser and then search for a Google Drive and then search for that specific file, it can be done in a auto sync to the laptop. So this is called Windows Share Folder. You can just Google it. What is Windows Share Folder? And by using this, you can save effort and time and transparency also. Other people can access the folder. I mean the file that they need. So the tools that one is a Windows Share Folder, and then the tools to make the reports to become accessible to the phone. By using a phone, you can make a proper report. I do a Google form and I add on the form publisher. You can dig to the form publisher add-ons in a form publisher, and it's actually limited. You have about 100 documentation generated a month. It's for free. But if you want more than 100 per month, you need to pay lah. But the thing is, 100 is free. I don't think there are 100 reports need to be done a month. So essentially, it's enough. So yeah, there's a lot of technology that is happening around the internet that we can use. Like GEMA Pusat is actually actively use the Google Calendar, where whenever we have a date, I just put it inside the calendar and it auto sync to everyone who hold the phone, who hold the account to the GEMA Pusat. So we don't really have a macam keliru bila kita punya program, bila kita punya bila kita punya meeting. So semuanya ada dalam kalender. So itu adalah teknologi yang kita kena take advantage, sebab benda itu adalah free. Most of them are free. Even Google Meet pun sekarang dah start free. Previously kita guna Hangout. And then many add-ons lah. You can start to explore the technology. I cannot say because I cannot say everything, because I also learn from the hard way. It actually comes from a set of problems. When you have a problem, previously the problem is that how to pass down the technology to the older people, to pass down the information to the next generation. But to pass it down, you need to store the information. So that's why I do the reports through the phone. I mean the initiative. So it all starts from a problem. From there, you try to seek for a solution. So yeah, I hope I answered that question in more elaborative way.
Yep, yep.
Okay, the tool is form publisher from Google Form. Yeah, you can try to find it.
Hmm. So teknologi sentiasa berubah kan, dia sentiasa expand, and it's up to us lah to take advantage of it, macam apa yang saudara Amar dah stress on sebentar tadi.
Mm.
There's also a question of standardized templates. So there's a question from Kak Alia juga. Macam mana kita nak enforce that standardization, because some people make their own style of minutes or reports. I guess the question is maybe about efficiency and effectiveness. Apa
Okay,
pendapat Amar mengenai itu?
all right. The standardization. Hmm, there's always a different opinion lah kalau kita nak tengok pasal reports ni. Macam even dalam GEMA ada negeri lain yang macam guna template mereka masing-masing. The thing is, the effort that we can do is that we can make one standard template of a report or even a minute, one standard template that we can do and share it to everyone that this is the standard and give them the importance of the standard, which is we don't want other people, we don't want the next generation to feel confused about why is it different from that file and why this file is different. So just to minimize the question that can be happen later, we need to have a standardized. But if people are not using the standard template that we've done, actually that one is not the really main concern. The really main concern is that they do it. They do the reports, they do the minutes. If they did it in their own way, after you explain to them, after you provide them the standard of the template, if they still do it their way, I think it's fine. Because you've done your part and then they also done their part, they still do it, they still record. I think the documentation is what's more important rather than debate on you need to use the standard or what. But to enforce it, I can just say you can uh, terangkan lah. Maybe have a one day meeting and then selitkan juga tentang have a new standard of template dan terangkan pada semua orang. Dan pada orang yang tak datang kita boleh bagi dia punya a set of manual lah to use the standard lah. So that's my answer. I like the question.
And I think there's one last question kat sini yang kita I think agak important lah, yang saya rasa Amar stress banyak kali bila kita sembang tu, about annual reports.
Okay.
So should annual reports be available for all members?
Yes. Yes, that's where transparency is. It needs to be available to all the members. So first we need to have a proper structured folder
Mhm.
that's in the cloud storage, so that everyone can plug in anywhere they are around the world. So when you have that, give them the access to access that part. So for example, the annual reports, after you've done, or the annual report have a lot of revamp, have a lot of revised version. So until you get the final version, that particular final version can be saved and moved to a specific folder that everyone can access it. You don't have to show them what is the revamp. You just show the final product. And it is important for all the members to access so that they can review back the annual reports. So try to find an easy way for people to access lah. The cloud storage lah. Try to dig deeper in cloud storage. And then some more, if I may add some,
Mhm.
the cloud storage have a pro and con. There's a lot of pros I told during the presentation, but there's a cons. Like for example, if somebody deleting it, what will happen? So that's it's good to have a backup where if using a Google Drive to make as a cloud storage, it's good to have another platform like a Dropbox to be as a second backup. You can do it like once a month to make
Mm,
a backup so that the information stored is not lost. So
mm,
keep on backing up. So that's if I can may add another point. So you can actually do a second Google Drive, no problem. You can back up from the second Google Drive. But then we don't know the situation in the real world because even Google just previously, I heard Google kena hack kan? Kena hack satu ketika dulu. So we need to protect our information lah, our file kan. So try to diverse the platform lah instead of using just one specific thing. So try to dig deeper in the technology lah. Actually, try to dig deeper. How to dig deeper? So like I said, it's come from a problem. You need to have a solution for something. So you seek for it. You seek for the technology to the tools to help you solve the problem. So by that you can dig deeper. So yeah, I hope
okay.
I elaborate enough.
So we've talked about a lot of things tadi lah. I think mostly around the values that is related to good governance macam transparency, accountability, integrity, and semuanya boleh di amplify ataupun kita boleh safeguard kalau kita guna beberapa teknologi yang disuggested oleh yang dicadangkan oleh saudara Amar tadi lah, and we have to take advantage of it. And I think the big why tu for me is always about sustaining ataupun kelestarian apa sustainability of the organisation itself. It's very important for the successor lah bila kita punya documentation, bila kita punya governance is actually really good. The organisation will stay for a really long time and mungkin kita akan become much more highly impactful lah towards our communities ataupun towards the causes yang kita support tu. So saudara Amar, um, do you think that having the right mix of people actually makes a difference? Contohnya, bila kita cakap pasal good governance ni, I think saudari Amirah juga ada sentuh juga kat situ. Annual reports are also important for us to be transparent with how we use the organization's money. So about finances kan. Do you think that we need people who actually understands the legal implication or financial position, yang tahu sikit ilmu-ilmu finance, tahu sikit-sikit ilmu undang-undang ni, is it important to have them so that good governance is in place dalam organisasi-organisasi belia?
Okay.
Or is it macam, oh, benda ni dia boleh belajar je dengan cepat?
It's actually it's a very added bonus like if you have a person from a legal background to be part of the team, part of the members. But then uh, there's always a situation di mana benda tu tak jadi. So you can outsource to the other people. But then before outsource, things can be discovered in a simple way. Like macam legal kan, kita boleh belajar sikit je tentang macam mana how to take just to be specific enough to cater your condition. So just a very small minimal information that you need to cater from the legal perspective. So maybe you can ask or seek the guidance from the legal people, or you can just find and research from the internet. But that one may take time because you may search many other things.
Yep.
It's easier to ask a person lah. Ask a specific person.
So contohnya trying to put into context berdasarkan Amar punya experience, GEMA backpackers kan, so a lot of outdoor activities, so implication towards safety tu memerlukan documentation yang betul-betul ni lah, yang kemas dan sebagainya, betul tak?
Betul.
So mungkin Amar boleh elaborate dekat situ agaknya, why having this thing in place tu memang sangat penting lah, sebab ramai orang overlook kan benda ni, macam especially safety. Apa-apa pertubuhan belia pun akan sentiasa ada outdoor activities lah. Kita bukan persatu orang-orang tua.
Okay. Yeah, how to answer the question? Okay, safety. Actually, we need to have a rule lah, a set of uh, benda peraturan yang kita kena ikut, yang kita kena obey to make our program safe. So that's where we establish an SOP, standard operating procedure, for our program. So that particular SOP needs to be stored and easily accessed to everyone and can be accessed to all the members. So that they can refer back to the SOP of that particular safety. For this topic is safety. So what if there's no safety SOP for like not outdoor organization, but they do have outdoor activity. So I guess I think you need to ask lah. You need to ask and you need to search. You need to search from it. Essentially, before you search, before you ask and before you search, it actually comes from awareness. Because if you're aware, then you search for it. If you're not aware, you can just do it and just not think about it. The thing is, it's better to have an awareness about the safety, especially in the outdoor, because uh, in GEMA backpackers, safety is already implemented in our site. We don't really have to remind because there's already SOP. It's not even written. It's unwritten SOP that we already established among ourselves. The understanding is there because we already, been there and done it every time. But the thing is, what happens if there's no standard from outside? So that's why I say the first thing you need to do is to have that awareness about the importance of a safety. Then you need to search for it, lah. So to search, just ask the right people. That will be the fastest way, or you can search to the internet. But you have to search more time lah for it.
Yep. Okay. And I guess about the finances juga, and the report sangat terkait dengan finances. It's always important to inform the members of the group where the money goes.
Betul?
So there's another question. I think the last question lah yang kita address before we conclude. Can we use Facebook or Instagram to put all details about programs to encourage transparency, especially about financing? From brother Shakir Iman bin Yamin.
Okay, Facebook and Instagram is actually a place for social media where people are interact. So to me, to put all the details in there, it can be a infographic lah. If there's a set of information that can be shared outside, because from the transparency that I'm saying, it is very important. The transparency is actually among the members inside the organization. It's not outside.
Yep.
So it's good to keep it to the organization. You cannot. It's not that you cannot, but not all information is transparency perlu di share pada orang luar. So to me, if you have a specific set of information that you can be infographic kit and share it to the outside, you can post it in your Facebook and Instagram. But the thing is to store things inside of Facebook and Instagram is not a proper platform lah. So it's for interacting. But like Saudara Shakir said, to encourage transparency, especially about financing. To encourage, I think it's good lah. I think it's good to encourage the transparency. But need to ask the members what can be shared to the outside. What can be shared to the outside.
Some informations, macam some information memang sensitif lah juga. Like masjid or surau buat untuk orang tahu di mana duit itu disumbangkan. Okay.
So, kalau saya boleh juga nak elaborate further pasal duit sumbangan daripada masjid. Cumanya dia sensitive issue lah sikit dan a lengthy discussion. Cuma if you want to know, there's always kita kena faham yang there always overhead somewhere. When we manage a money, sebab tu dalam zakat kita ada ambil 10% ataupun 1/8 daripada untuk sumbangan kepada ambil orang yang menguruskan. Kerana orang yang menguruskan, dia orang sumbangkan tenaga, masa dan juga dia orang punya effort untuk uruskan benda tu. So sometimes people are questioning why too much benda yang pergi kepada overhead, kepada orang-orang dan kenapa bayar mahal sangat. The thing is, Itulah. Kalau kita tak bagi, kalau kita tak explain atau tak aware enough about the finance part, orang akan senang judge macam mana kita guna duit. The thing is, dia ada set of rules. Even dalam Islam pun ada rules dia sendiri yang kita kena tahu hukum kalau kita guna lebih ke macam mana. So dia ada benda yang kita boleh perlu tahulah.
Yep.
Tapi untuk be transparent to the outside, ada orang yang macam cuba untuk tidak bagi tahu the situation, sengaja untuk tidak explain about a certain information sebab dia tak nak orang luar salah predict. So kalau dia tanya direct, yes, dia orang boleh jawab so that dia orang boleh explain to that person so that tak ada macam mana, tak ada different opinion. Sebab kadang-kadang kalau orang lain tengok a set of information that can be biased atau can be leads to a misunderstanding, itu bahaya lah. So there are things that can be transparent and there are things that need to be hidden and only be explained if that particular person asks directly. So tapi untuk semangat majlis dan surau ni eloklah kalau di transparentkan sebab benda tu orang akan tanya kan. So I hope I answer the question lah.
Yep. I think to kalau lah nak put into context about the current situation in Malaysia, we see that makin banyak pertubuhan belia yang ditubuhkan sejak kebelakangan ini dengan nama yang berbagai-bagai lah. Dengan menggunakan perkataan pemuda dan mungkin ada perkataan negara yang mungkin kita pun tertanya-tanya jugalah source of funding dan transparency dan sebagainya. Mungkin bila jadi macam tu, benda ni lebih mustahak lah untuk tahu di mana aliran tunai tu di inilah pergi ke mana dan daripada mana source of income dan sebagainya. Walau bagaimanapun, itu topik yang lain, sorry, termasuk dalam bab-bab lain pula. Amal nak tambah ke? Nak cakap something?
Dan nak sampai ke penghujung ke?
Dah sampai ke penghujung lah kita ni. Mungkin kita minta concluding remarks lah from our brother Amar about this topic ataupun general advice for us all.
Okay, essentially governance is actually a very broad topic that can be discussed. Apa yang saya dah sampaikan throughout the presentation sebenarnya small pieces of things that can be, that I've shared. So there's a lot of other things that we can dig to, like for example the financial part, how to govern the financial, how to lead, how to get a proper leadership to guide, to govern the organization. So it's actually a broad. So it's best if we can have a separate and further talks about governance, especially to a specific niche of things. But I try to explain more on what I do and what I experience, what I really know, which is the documentation for today's presentation. And some more, if we get a good governance, it's not only for the successor, also for the good proper annual report. But with a good governance, you get a more potential to grow and easy to be recognized and get funding from outside. So if you, like for example, the 5-star rating, we are recognized by a certain jabatan that recognize us, and they treating us closely, and they even approach us if we want a fund. So I want to be part of an initiative, and they can give the funding. So that kind of things is important for good governance. It's not only for the successor, and also for the growing, for the growth of the organization. So bear in mind, good governance is not a thing that can be simply neglected. It needs to be organized as efficient as possible, and use the technology, the improving technology, as best as you can. Keep up with the technology and also enjoy the process. Just like what I said just now. So because later on you will cherish the moment. you make it memorable so that you can cherish it and enjoy the process. So
Mm.
that's, I think it's good lah.
Yep, yep. That's a really really good point lah yang Amar sebut tadi. Why is it important? Not only for the successes but also for to create credibility lah.
Yeah.
Especially when we buat societies atau buat organizing ni,
Mm.
money is important and we actually attract donors and also grants from governments that can actually expand our activities and juga help us to support the causes yang kita support lah basically kan.
Mm.
Thanks again, Brother Amar, for spending the time with us today. I think
Okay.
valuable lah knowledge, information yang you've imparted to us all from Ikram Australia and towards pada orang-orang lain yang mendengar lah. Kalau
Moga,
uh,
moga bermanfaat lah. And thank you
sangat.
for having me.
Thank you for we are honoured once again to have you. Mungkin di masa depan kita boleh jemput lagi untuk bagi talk dalam angle yang lain with a different slant and all about good governance or something else lah.
InsyaAllah.
InsyaAllah. Kalau tak ada apa-apa lagi, kita ucapkan selamat Hari Raya, maaf zahir batin pada semua, khusus pada Amar dan juga pada penonton sekalian. Raya kan
Selamat
sebulan kan.
Hari.
So,
Betul.
hati-hatilah ya. Nak pergi rumah orang ziarah dan sebagainya di zaman COVID ni. InsyaAllah kita jumpa lagi di masa depan. Assalamualaikum.
InsyaAllah.
Thank
Assalamualaikum.
you Amar.